All right. How are we doing? Had a rough night last night, homecoming. This is Problems of Standardized Testing by Gary Sparks. Overall, the issue with long-term testing is not worth it because the short-term benefit is a better score, but on the other hand, the long-term is that it hurts them when they get to college. The long term argument is that it hinders a student's ability to have a deep understanding, true mastery over a subject, because the material that involves higher thinking and problem solving is most of the time forgotten by cramming in preparations for tests. Texas, New York, and Massachusetts is big in using content based narrowing, the predictability of test content. Test pollution is called because the different practices to prep the students affect the validity of some of the scores. The SAT is a test made to predict a student's GPA and how well they will do over their college career. But research shows that the SAT scores alone were very poor in predicting overall success in a student academically. Students who are in the 18 states that do testing show no improvement that is measurable in educational progress. Wow. Some common misconceptions are students who take AP courses and exams are more likely to do better in college introductory courses. Students who take AP classes were much more likely to complete a bachelor's degree in 4 years or less. This, from research done in the article that I read, turns out to be false, with AP scores showing no visible change in the improvement and rather a disadvantage if the professor of the AP course was tough in standardized testing prep. Side 2 affects student motivation and learning. It has also been brought up that standardized testing produces inequality along gender, racial, ethnic, and class lines. By removing standardized testing, it would be an effective way to limit the bias of college admissions, making the campus overall more diverse. The No Child Left Behind movement was what really started ramping up standardized testing. The original thought behind it was going to make students competitive and more motivated to learn, but studies showed that it actually decreases students' motivation and increases students' dropout rate. The quote unquote unmotivated students are usually students of low socioeconomic status in urban areas, usually African American. The tests also affect things negatively in school, like how they have to use their money to get test supplies and try to improve their students' grade, regardless if it helps improving the students' grades. I believe the money could be used in struggling schools with quote unquote unmotivated students and have more services for them like other schools. If we continue to use standardized testing, we run the risk of increasing our dropout rates and failing to provide our students with the best education we can. We need to abandon high stakes testing and implement more formative testing programs. Teachers suffer as well. Standardized testing also corrupts people to cheat, as well as teachers. Teachers should not have incentives to make their students perform a certain score on the test, as well as a teacher's pay should not be determined by the score their student gets on standardized testing. This breeds corruption. Some instances even include teachers excluding some students in testing because they don't want them to test too low. The article states, quote unquote, the test should send a message to the administration and the legislators that they have gone too far in using test scores to assess students' performance. The article also states that standardized testing should and can be used for accessing K through 12, but it should not be the only measure. What I believe we need to change to see improvement. Personally, I believe that we need to take a step back from standardized testing and make it less of a mandatory thing. I believe to do this, we need to stop forcing teachers to prep their students to take a test because it has long lasting negative effects. I believe that these long lasting negative effects, like long term retention of the subject being much lower, matter significantly more than short term scores. I also believe that teachers live in constant fear to make their students perform on a suitable level, whether in most cases affecting the teacher's pay. That's just out ridiculous. I believe that there should be no correlation between a teacher's pay and a student's score. This breeds corruption and encourages cheating on both sides. of the teacher and the student. I believe standardized testing can still be implemented if it meant nothing to the students and it was optional. I believe this because they do provide a basic way of measuring students when there is no testing pollution. I believe there are better ways to measure a student's academic progress. This could be by using a student's portfolio or having them choose an assignment. Just like any essay, slideshow, project, if they choose a test, and allow them to demonstrate in their own way some sort of academic progression and mastery over their subject.